Welcome, 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 welcome to another episode of the Kat Mak Talk Show. I have Paulina Xerri, just like the fun, from BAM Coaching. Now, she's going to talk about a jam in a second, but we talked a little bit earlier about, meeting different cultures, different races, and Sherry comes from where?
Malta.
Malta, an amazing part of the world. If you haven't actually been, it
Yeah.
is, I call it the most bombed country in the world because it is. It has, now I'm going to do a bit of a plug on Malta. If you've never been to
Yeah.
Malta, Google it. It is a country that everybody wanted in the past. So,
Yeah.
it has an illustrious history. And I would highly recommend this tiny little country that most of the Maltese are outside of the country that they are in the country. But anyway, that's a bit about Malta.
Yeah, love it, love
Paulina, thank you so much for jumping on the Cat Mac Talk Show. I know that you have a story to share
it.
because we kind of just started it beforehand. So tell me a bit about you. What do you do? Why you do what you do? And your smile just lights up the world.
Oh, thanks so much, Kat. I've got to stop giggling because you literally just make me laugh with your infectious energy. So I need to take this mildly professionally. So thank you for having me on today on your show. It's great to be here. It was really great to meet you as well. Nice to connect with another Aussie coach, that's
It
for sure.
is.
And
It
one in
is.
Melbourne. One in
In
Melbourne.
Melbourne, like seriously, what the?
So look, I've been coaching for about 6, 7 years now. I came out of the old, grind of the corporate world, which, to be honest, I had a great career. I worked on things like the Olympics, the Commonwealth Games. Like
Wow.
I was a big events junkie back in the day. So
Okay. I didn't
I
know that.
really loved it. I worked hard, played hard, and probably contributed to my autoimmune kind of breakdowns in life and all of those things. But I guess becoming a coach, I had no idea that I was going to become a coach. It was never on my plan. I had no idea what life coaching was.
How did it happen? What was your aha moment? Where was your breakdown for your breakthrough?
Yeah, exactly. We all have one. It was just kind of, I had a year where everything started not to go great for me. My marriage was struggling. I was fighting with a couple of my best friends. I was not loving my career. And I kind of had in my head, I always wanted to, end my career and work for myself, but I didn't want to open up a marketing agency. Like my background is marketing and comms. And I was really lost. I was really missing my nana. She'd been passed for easily 10 years, but I was just really yearning for her love and her comfort and
Oh, that makes me goose pimple.
and I just felt sad. I'm not I wouldn't ever identify myself as a sad person that struggles. I'm very optimistic. I always look for hope, all of those wonderful things, but I really felt sad. So by coincidence, I met a life coach through a customer service training. I'd hired her to do some customer service training for my staff, and she told me she was a life coach. So I went and saw her, and she helped me heal. She helped me forgive. She helped me with so much that I thought, what a wonderful gift to be able to give to people, to help people. And she said to me, "You'd make a great life coach." I was like, "Isn't that just what Americans do? Like
Is it?
the Tony Robbins thing?" And she said, "Look, just go." And she found a seminar for me just to go to and to have a look. And off I went. And it was like a weekend thing. And I did it. And then suddenly I'm ringing my husband saying, "Right, I've found what I'm going to do." And he was like, "Okay, no problem. You sure you're not running off to some weird thing?" And I'm like, "No, no, I think it's real. Well, we'll see. We'll just start it and see what happens." So I then studied for the next 2.5, nearly 3 years while I was working full time. And rejoiced the day that I ran into my boss's office. He was the CEO. I sat right next to him and I was banging on his glass window going, "I've got exciting news." And he's like, What? I said, "I'm resigning today." And he's like, "What?"
So how did that feel in your belly when you turned around and said, you know what? I'm actually going to do something that I feel in my gut right now because things
Yeah.
can change tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah.
That was that thing.
It was just, I can't, I was actually on holiday at Coffs Harbour. and I had this turning moment where everyone was asleep. I was getting up at 5 a.m. going down to the beach. And I don't know if you know Coffs
I
Harbour.
do actually.
There's that beautiful resort, Aloka or something, Aloka Resort. I can't remember the name. It's one of their only resorts, to be honest. It's
Yeah,
on the
me and Kosovo, I have to tell you that
and
another time.
I was sitting on the beach, and out far was like what looked like this kind of like this island, and I was just staring at it and meditating, and then it just came to me like, this is my time. Like, what am I waiting for? Like, I am getting older, and this is something I always wanted to do. Not so much coaching, had no idea what was ahead of me, but I was like, what am I waiting for? Life's too short. And
Mm.
I really felt my nana's energy. She was she always told me to be patient in life, always told me to be patient, 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 because I'm so not patient. And had decided, you know what, I've done the study, I've got my background, in corporate, so I know business and marketing and how to do it. And even if I don't know a whole heap of stuff, you know what, I felt it internally. I felt that I was ready. And I was, ready to take the risk and ready to take on the challenge. And even everyone was saying to me, oh, at least you've got your career. You can always fall back on it. And I was like, no, that's never happening. I'm never going back there. That's now, I'm
How do
focused
you
on.
deal? So, a question for you for those that are actually watching this and thinking,
Yeah.
I want to be you, right? So,
Oh,
how
can
do
you be a
you?
taller version of me? I'm only 5 foot, be a little bit
So
taller.
yeah, well, you know what? Don't they say small things come in? The best things come in small packages.
That's
Sorry.
right.
Okay.
That's
So,
right. That's right.
what advice would you give to a woman that is out there that's saying, you know what, I I want to take the next step. I'm taking the next step. However, I have those naysayers that are my inner circle.
Yeah.
How do you deal with those naysayers?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, firstly, I think because I experienced having someone help me for the first time, you know, back then I was not a woman that asked for help. I was very much like this good girl. I wanted the world to see that I was doing really well. I was high performing. I was a super mum. I didn't need help. So for the first time,
Geez, that sounds familiar.
exactly. And again, probably why I got a underactive thyroid, like all the health broke from being like that. So the first thing, and it wasn't just help, it was actually what I got help with was finding forgiveness for all the things that I felt, all the people that I felt had not served me in my life, including my mum. No, including my mum. That was probably the biggest relationship I needed healing from
Wow.
to move
Really?
forward. Yeah, it was a real disconnect. I was really disconnected from my mum, and I didn't want that, but I didn't know how to heal it. And then there were other, like I said, my husband, I didn't want a divorce. I had to find my way back to him, back to my best friend, and it was forgiveness that enabled me. It's a bit like perspective opens up your world of possibilities. Forgiveness for me opened up my opportunity to actually stand on my own 2 feet and own who I am. And then that started more personal development, which was the next step, investing in my personal development. And I guess studying to be a life coach, I got the personal development at the same time. So I
Mm,
was able to study and use all of those tools and techniques to help myself heal. So
cool.
I think to be able to say then goodbye, piss off naysayers, it's because I realize that's their story they're telling themselves.
Yeah.
They're telling themselves they're not courageous, they're not taking risks, they're going to play safe. I was on a really big salary, 200K a year and a car and all of the perks. And,
Are
I
you
was,
telling my story?
I think so. I think so, and, I was getting told, oh my God, you're giving up your big fat salary. And what about your family and and again, I was like, no, they're all your worries. They're not mine. They're not mine because I can make that salary in 6 months. I
Yeah.
can make that salary. And it wasn't even about me making that salary anymore. I was creating a life on my terms, being my own boss,
Yeah.
deciding the wonderful women I wanted to work with,
Yeah.
creating impact, all those things that we do as coaches, that's what kept me focused. And again, probably the biggest in corporate, we all do the vision, the mission, the goals, all of that stuff, but I've never connected with it, never connected with the corporate values. It just always felt like somebody coming in and just getting paid to tick all the CEO boxes.
Did you feel that there was always a wall?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it was just weird. But when I realized and had done that exercise, particularly connecting, I'd realized to make profit, you've got to be connected to your purpose and your passion. They're the
Yeah,
two things.
yeah,
Otherwise, if you're not connected with those two things, everything goes out the window. And so I
yeah.
just had faith in that. I was like, no, I need to work on why I'm doing what I'm doing and deeply. Because I said I had no idea why I was suddenly being a life coach. No idea. No idea. And I was like,
Did you feel
who are you?
excited, scared,
Yeah, both. A
wanted to
combination.
vomit?
Yeah, yeah, all of those things. And it was even weird, like when people would say yes. And I'd be like, really? Oh, okay, great. Come on in. I had no program. It was all in my head. It was all on paper. It was all from all of my lessons that I'd learnt. And yeah, I had, I'd put out a message on, I think, I don't know, what was it, 7 years ago, what we were using, probably Messenger or text. I can't
I
remember.
don't know. Yeah,
But it was like,
everything.
I thought I'll just send out a message. So I did it to about 30 people saying, hey, I'm at the end of my life coaching. I'm offering a few, free classes, sessions. If you want one, I had about 10 people say yes. So I was like, oh,
Wow.
okay, come on in. So in this room, this was set up as my face-to-face office pre-COVID, where I saw people one-on-one face-to-face. They'd come on in here and I'd coach them, and then I thought, shit, I better maybe try and sell you something. So I had a 12-month program again. Nothing really, it was laid out, but I didn't have like an online program. I didn't have anything fancy.
So you felt, so you fail forward and you're like,
Yeah,
you know
I
what, I'm
just
going to
kept
do it. And
going.
I love that.
Yeah, and I had no idea what to charge. I was like, oh, you know what, I'll give $5,000 a crack for 12 months, see if anyone bites on that. Yep, out of the 10 people, I got 8 clients said yes.
Oh my, so
Yeah,
8 times 5 is,
yeah, yeah,
let's just talk money here because we're not only helping you help you,
yeah, yeah.
however, we're also here to build a business and build a brand.
That's
So
right. That's right. So it was a great way to kickstart my first year. I hit six figures in my first year, and even just the first person saying yes, I was like, oh wow, I can do this. This is a thing.
yeah,
Um,
you can do that. I love the fact that you said before where you're talking about boundaries, you said perspective and
yeah,
giving forgiveness.
yeah,
That is so important. And even if the person doesn't acknowledge it,
yeah,
and that's okay too. See, this
yeah,
is where, don't you find that a lot of people that are the naysayers,
yeah,
um, yes, it's their story and we don't own their problem. Once you
yeah,
write it down and say, I forgive you for XYZ
yeah,
because of XYZ, all of a sudden for me, it was clearance.
yeah. Absolutely. And I guess there was an exercise that my coach used, which was extraordinarily powerful. But the thing that I struggled with most was I literally had to write a list of all the people that I hated and why. And I
Wow.
really struggled with that.
Wow.
Yeah. And then
Wow. What an exercise.
we went through a process
I've never
of,
done that.
forgiveness. It was a really powerful, it involved, lighting candles and saying out loud and getting rid of like so much. And I remember having a real spiritual moment, and anyone listening to this, whether you're into the woo-woo or not, I respect that. But I really had a spiritual moment at the end where my coach cuddled me, and she is tiny like you. Like I would say she's probably a size 4, really,
Wow.
really tiny and about 4'8". Her name was Sue. Sue, sadly, we lost her a few years ago to
Oh, that's
stomach
sad.
cancer. But she was such a gift. But I remember giving her a cuddle, but suddenly my arms were like this. It felt like I was cuddling. And my grandma, the German in her, was quite, about a size 16 woman, big breasts. And my arms felt like I was cuddling, like Sue was like little, so she'd be like this, but it was like this. And I smelt her perfume, like I could smell
Wow.
very strong scent. Yeah. So I don't, I felt like my nana had come through at the end and gave me a big cuddle through Sue, who, she had shared with us that, she doesn't promote she's a medium, but it's part of her gifts
Wow, what a
come
beautiful
through. So
story.
yeah, so it was that I felt that I was safe after that. I just felt everything that happens next. I'll continue to fail forward. I'll continue to take risks. And she's always in my, I guess, in my head, just always saying, just be patient.
So, okay, so it's interesting because you said patient quite a few times,
Yeah, yeah,
and you've also mentioned your grandmother quite a few times. So she's obviously a very, very, she's guiding you
yeah,
irrespective.
yeah,
So what would you, if you were to look at your former self in the mirror, your
yeah,
younger self,
yeah, my
your
little
20-year-old version or your 15-year-old version of you, what would you tell her right now?
Yeah, I would literally tell her to have a dream and be patient because it will come to you. And it will come to you when you least expect it. But when it comes, you'll know that everything that you had done to get there was all the right things that you were supposed to be doing.
Absolutely. Now, I believe you're writing a book.
I
Is that
am writing
correct?
a book.
I
Yeah.
believe you're writing a book, which is a little bit exciting. So, do you want to tell us a minute about that before we jump off?
Thank you, Kate. Yeah, I'm writing a book called Leading Without a Mask, and it's part of a kind of coaching style that I do. But in a nutshell, I'm collecting a whole heap of amazing stories, including yours,
Including mine.
including yours, about women, about who they were before they became successful entrepreneurs. And part of their story is unveiling the mask that was hiding their potential.
I
And
love that.
the things that hide our potential are typically the things that we've embedded in our shame and our vulnerability. So we go through a journey of, I guess you'll have to wait for the book, but sharing
Yeah. So,
so it's exciting.
I can't wait till it comes out, and I'm going to grab my copy as well. So, Paulina Xerri, like the fine wine, thank you so much for jumping on board. And I can guarantee I'm going to have you back on the hot seat when the book's out, so we can talk about the book, because that
Lovely.
I would love, 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 love. Or we can do a
Absolutely.
reading from the book. Okay.
And we can do a spotlight reading on your story, turn the tables on you.
Oh, we probably could. Okay. Thank you
Thanks.
so much. Have a good morning.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'll see you soon. Safe travels.
See ya. Thanks.